Hello and welcome back to everyone. The rest of the another edition of Raw out of 10. This is the go home episode before Clash in Paris, so a lot of time was spent hyping the PA and trying to loose up ends with storylines that will be featured. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and let's get straight into Raw in Birmingham. The week early edition of Raw from England opened with a recap of last week's show and the usual shots of the superstars arriving at the arena. As advertised, Reigns came out to cut things off after soaking in love from the crowd for a couple of minutes with various chants and singing. The OTC finally spoke and said he has big plans for the rest of 2025 into next year. Reigns said he's no longer the man he used to be, but can be once again. Reigns talked about how he no longer has the bloodline backing up, but he took a moment to say he was proud of Jey Uso. Paul Heyman and Bronson Reed came out to taunt Reigns. The segment went on for quite some time, but the crowd kept chanting different things repeatedly. Reed also gave up a history lesson about his Samoan tribe's history. They ended up running towards each other and brawling in the aisle. Both men talked trash. They bustled in the ring until security tried to break them up unsuccessfully and fought to the break. The first 20 minutes were pretty standard stuff, but the fight between Reigns and Reed helped make it more exciting. Before we moved on to Dragon Lee against Jacob McDonald, the Judgment Day and Finn Balor accompanied his tag partner to the ring. They started trading some shots in the corner. Lee took control and took out McDonald at the knee. Balor tried to interfere, but the ref saw him toss him from the ringside area. We returned from a break to see both men down, and McDonald hit a suplex. Once they got to their feet, they started picking up the pace again. It was a fun match between two guys who are great at what they do. Even though they have different styles, it meshed together well. It was a great display of how versatile these superstars can be in the ring. Dom interfered and was quickly dispatched by AJ after he tripped Lee. This allowed the High Flyer to hit his finisher and score the win to end a fun little match. And yeah, gets 7 out of 10 from me. Before we moved on to Penta versus Kofi after he battled Xavier last week, Penta took control with early chops in the corner, and he had the former WWE champion retreating for a break and a few more moves. During the break, Kingston hit a back boot and body drop onto the announce table, but the masked man started making a comeback when he returned. The bout had a good pace and felt even more competitive than Penta's match with Wiz last week. Kingston is more of a high flyer, so he was able to adapt his style with a reach door. With a little help from Waller, Kingston was able to win with the Trouble in Paradise, and yeah, gets 6 out of 10 from me. A pretty decent match. But I think, we can run it back with Waller in there. Now, yeah, makes sense. Becky Lynch came to the ring for a promo and immediately started trash talking Birmingham. Before this, she was interrupted by Nikki Bella. They tried using trash talks, Lynch retreating after Nikki got the better of her. Short and uneventful, but it was basically filler. Before we moved on to Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez, despite Ripley having a size advantage, Perez was the one who came out of the gate with more aggression. It didn't take long for the other cases to gain the upper hand, but she seemed surprised by Perez at first. The Prodigy kept taking breaks her inside where she wouldn't make any progress. She needed to resort to using Rodriguez as a distraction so she could hit a suicide dive. After Perez took out Ripley's knee, she was firmly in control for a long time, but Ripley was able to make a comeback and score the win finisher. Rodriguez went after her once the match ended. She and Perez double teamed until EA Sky made the save, and keeps the storyline going with the Kabuki Warriors. So yeah, makes sense. Before Dom asked Balor to take care of stars for him tonight, so the two former Bullet Club members had a match. This time Balor chose to do things by himself rather than having a Judgment Day with him. These two know each other well, so it took them no time to find their groove. The first matches were a series of counters from both men. It seemed like an even matchup before two veterans, but the phenomenal ones ended up getting a much quicker win than expected with the Stars clash. No interference and no questionable finish, just a short, clean win for Stars, showing we know how good both these men are. I would love to see them given more time. Before we got Braun Breaker versus LA Knight, as Breaker was making his way through the back, he was attacked by Reigns. Once the OTC was sent away, Knight attacked Braun and brought him into the arena. The Megastar was able to continue controlling the pace throughout the break. In fact, Breaker has never even had a chance to take off his shirt because he was taking a beating since he was backstage. Once the powerhouse started building momentum, he ran Knight off with a shoulder tackle to completely turn things around. It took a while for Knight to hit a DDT to give himself a little time to recover. These two men have worked together, so they know how each other operates, so they were able to get on a good performance and made both men look good. Rollins showed up and distracted Knight so Breaker could hit a huge spear at ringside. He rolled him back into the ring for a second spear to get the win. Jey Uso and CM Punk both came out to drive Rollins off and his cronies after they continued attacking Knight. The show ended with Jey taking out Punk and Knight, and yeah, everyone else had left, obviously building tension in that match. It made sense. It was a perfectly decent match up until that point. Bit questionable having Knight lose before a big match though, but yeah, I thought it worked pretty nicely. 6 out of 10. Monday's episode of Raw was exactly what you'd expect leading to a PLE. Just about every match was addressed in some way. As far as the in-ring action concerned, McDonald and Lee probably stole the show. Kingston and Penta weren't far behind, but it was largely forgettable. It wasn't a bad show, but it didn't really have anything to make it stand out. On the whole, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.